I would like to start it with a brief introduction of Aereo, what it does, and when it started.
So we started our journey in 2013 from IIT Kanpur, and with the pure alignment or focus on providing solutions for enterprise applications using drones. So Aereo is a rebranded name. We have been known for quite a long period of time by the name Arav Unmanned Systems or AUS. We just rebranded for some branding as well as expansion related reasons. So our journey began with developing only hardware as a solution for surveying and mapping applications of drones when it comes to a civilian use case or applications with respect to sectors which are concerned with the enterprises. But over a period of time, we have evolved into a business intelligence company where we not only focus on providing hardware or drones which are specifically built for collecting data for surveying and mapping application, but we have also built very robust and very integrated data analytics solutions on the cloud, which consumes the data generated by the drone and then gives very specific set of outputs, which are basically in the form of business insights for very specific sectors which we target today. So right now, as a company, we target sector like mining, metal, and power in one category, urban and rural infrastructure as second category, and infrastructure as the third category, which comprises of construction of roads, railways, or large infrastructure like factory compounds, ports, which require continuous monitoring of the construction exercise or require very detailed surveying and mapping related functions to plan the development of the site. So these are the three broad areas which we focus upon, and we have complete suite of solutions, including hardware and software as a service bundle, which is required by these industries. So, for example, in case of mining, we help them do their inventory assessment, change detection, planned versus actual comparison, assessment of various regulatory requirements are against, let's say, for example, safety requirements or safety standards, environmental standards. We help them measure those standards and requirement via our data set so that they can become a more productive and the people involved in these industries become more empowered and while they become more sustainable. So our broad theme of applications which we focus upon basically rotates around three major focus areas: productivity, people, and planet. So any use case we are serving right now or we plan to serve in the future would basically essentially means that our solutions can enhance their productivity while empowering the people and also in making the planet more sustainable. Because in silos you can do productivity enhancement by taking away the people's job or by plundering the planet, but if you want to maintain the balance of three, you have to very consciously choose how the technology delivers a solution. So that's basically about Aereo. We have close to 14 patents filed on different technologies of hardware and software. We have a 320 plus member team spread across the country, out of which close to 120 people are dedicated towards purely research, development, and engineering related applications headquartered in Bangalore. So that's how we are. And right now we serve large clients like Tata Steel, Hindalco, JSW, Adani on the private side. On the PSU side, we serve organizations like Coal India, NTPC. And on the government side, we are working on projects like SVAMITVA scheme as well as the large scale mapping, which comprises of mandates like mapping all the, let's say, villages of the country for creation of land records. So those kind of projects where we are or contracts we are involved into, and we have established a huge amount of credentials and execution experience over the last 10 years of our existence. We have mapped more than 70 lakh acres of area in this country for various projects, covered more than 500 mines, as well as we have mapped close to 35,000 villages under the Swamitwa scheme, and currently serving contracts worth 1 lakh square kilometers when it comes to mapping all kind of agricultural and non-agricultural land across three different states of Haryana, Andhra Pradesh, and Karnataka. So that's in lump sum what Aereo is all about.
Yeah. So, sir, you have mentioned about SVAMITVA scheme. So, I have heard about the land record digitization before this scheme too. And in Madhya Pradesh, I have seen the land recorder available digitally in government portal. So how this scheme is different from the earlier attempt of land digitalization, and how you are contributing to it.
Okay. See, when it comes to, so all of these projects are basically a subset of a project called DLRMP, called Digital Land Record Mapping Project, which is partially financed by the central government and partially to be financed by the state government. Now, most of the land records which exist in the country have been derived from the paper-based maps which were developed by the Britishers during their rule. And from there, they have been converted into digital copies in the form of, let's say, PDF files or digital vector files. But no attempt has been made to resurvey the property boundaries on the field itself. So only existing records have been digitalized. And most of the issues around these records is that they are not accurate. So they do not represent the true dimensions and scale on the ground when someone goes and tries to tally with these records. And in fact, majority of places, if you look at especially rural area, you will find that the pockets in which people live, in an entire village, there will be a small pocket in the center somewhere where people live, and rest of the land is used for agricultural application. Those pockets don't have any land ownership record. They will just shed it, because Britishers were never concerned about creating records for people's residential land. They were concerned about the agricultural land because that is where they were collecting tax from. Okay. So what happens is that because of the non-existence of undisputable digital record, proper ownership records, you cannot use that land for a lot of credit facilities, mortgage applications and all. So Swamitva aims at creating the data for that section or the portion of the village in which people live, the Abadi areas, which don't exist. So this data doesn't exist. Okay, so data is being created afresh. Now, what is the difference? Now, there are various ways you can do this exercise. You can send people on the ground with manual instruments and figure out the boundaries of each and every plot. Even large scale mapping consists of mapping all the agricultural land as well. So you can send people on the ground. Alternative two is that you use satellite maps and try to digitize the land. And alternative three is being kind of practiced right now, which is using drones. Now, what happens when you send people on the ground? There is no evidence or there is no correlation with the images. So you don't know where that point has been collected. So validation of the point collected from a manually operated instrument, which will give you coordinates, is not there. So there will be, let's say, deviations. There will be disputes in that, and it takes a huge amount of time. One village will take about 4 or 5 days to survey, and good amount of money per village. They will have to spend somewhere around 20,000 rupees to do that activity over a 4 or 5 days period, and that too the data will not be reliable because there is no way you can cross check whether it has been really collected at at the corner of the boundary or not. Now, let's say if we use satellite imagery, what happens? So there are two types of satellite imagery. One which our country generates on its own, which is having a resolution of about 1.5 meters, which is 150 centimeters, and one which you can obtain from foreign companies, which is basically best in case class data will be 30 centimeters per pixel resolution. So accuracy is generally 2 to 3 times of that. So basically you will have a 1 meter error in the position of any point on the ground. So 1 meter means a significant amount of area will be lost or have errors when it comes to demarcating the boundaries. So even that doesn't work. So why drone imagery came into picture? Because drones offer a resolution of about 3 centimeters per pixel versus 30 centimeters. So this is 100 times higher resolution. And the accuracies are well within 10 centimeter. So 10 centimeter error versus 100 centimeter error have different repercussions on someone's value of the property and the ownership area of the property, right? That is the reason why drones are being used, because they generate more accurate results. Versus also they can do it faster. So if you send a manually operated approach or manually operated instrument on the ground to, let's say, have very accurate data, the argument could be that the manual instruments can give better data. Yes, they can, but it takes 4 days, 20,000 rupees per village, and also a lot of doubt on the data set because there is no correlation with any other imagery. In case of drone, you can, everything can be extracted, and one village, in fact, one drone covers 5 villages in a single day, and one village costs somewhere around 8,000 rupees. That's it. So it is less than half the price and one-fourth the time which it takes to complete the. So entire countries' villages can be mapped within 3 to 4 years period at one less than half the budget without any dispute. So that is the reason why drones are being used, and that's the difference between all the other alternates which exist. And that is why 2 lakh villages have been already mapped under the DLRMP, which never happened in the past ever in this country.
Yeah. So, sir, through drones, you must be getting an image of the land. So, how you are demarcating the boundaries through the image, and how you are settling title disputes, because India has a lot of disputes in land. So, how you are settling those disputes and demarcating the boundaries through the images.
See, there are different entities responsible for different categories of jobs when it comes to solving the entire problem. While we are concerned with creating maps using drones, there are government officials who go on the ground, make the first boundary based on their own records, get it verified from the owner and their neighbor. Only when they agree for that boundary without any dispute, they mark that boundary. Otherwise, the whole boundary or the whole land is marked under disputed, and then they are given chances to basically rectify their boundary disputes. Now, what happens is the natural behavior of human beings when they are told that this is the only opportunity you have got, otherwise, we will not be able to mark your land clear on our records and you will not be able to sell, purchase, or mortgage this land ever. People generally end up very immediately arriving at conclusions within themselves and resolving the dispute without going to the court, because most of the time people don't want to really conclude, and then there are selfish desires of owning someone else's land, or there are disputes on the boundary. But when you are known that the loss is greater than the gain which you can get if you resolve this, so people end up resolving it. How do we mark the boundary? See, the drone data which is collected essentially is 10 centimeter level accurate when it comes to its xy coordinates, right? And everything is visible very clearly at 2 centimeter, 3 centimeter resolution. So when you have that high resolution and accuracy, you can draw the boundary on the map itself on a digital format. So you'll have a map in your laptop or a tablet, and you can draw the boundary on that. Go to the owner, show it to the owner whether you are satisfied with the boundary, and show it to the owners, the neighbors. If they are all satisfied with the boundary, then each of these boundaries are finally linked with their Aadhaar number, the owner's Aadhaar number. So what happens? Going further, the land gets connected to the entire family tree. So this problem is not being solved only for the current generation, but also will create a lot of efficiency for the upcoming generations when it comes to claiming the ownership of the land or dividing or amalgamating the land for any reason.
So, sir, there are a lot of companies that are participating under the scheme. So, are you guys following a set of SOPs from the government, or you are formulating the implementation of a scheme or the technology on your own?
No, so government has fixed very standard set of SOPs. Of course, with the learnings and evolution, these SOPs are also updated. There is nothing rigid. But at a time, there is single SOP being followed almost everywhere in the country when it comes to creation of the first layer of map. After that, how will they go to the field, get verification done? Every state has a slight variation in their approach because different people and different states have different approach towards conducting that project. But as far as creating the first map is concerned, it's a standard process across the country.
Yeah. So, how many drones you have used in the implementation of this scheme, and how many villages has been covered till date?
So we are already having active deployments right now going on in Maharashtra and Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh. However, we have in the past mapped villages in Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, around Delhi region, right? And currently doing in Haryana also, apart from the other states. So we have close to 100 drones which are deployed for these projects. And we have covered nearly 35,000 villages already, and more getting covered on every day. On the other side, in Haryana, we are doing large scale mapping which is with basically complete state mapping end to end. There we have covered already 20,000 square kilometers out of 32,000 square kilometer, which was awarded to us.
Yeah. So, sir, what are the challenges that you face in the implementation of this scheme?
See, it's a new technology. Okay, everyone is learning. Even the government machinery is for the first time using this technology. So there are a lot of gaps in the understanding of how this technology works, what are the constraints, what is the right quality which should be expected, how to select a vendor, what are the parameters to finalize a good performing vendor. Okay, the training required, the skilling required for handling the data. And then at the end of the day, certain agencies like Survey of India, who have been made responsible for this, and Ministry of Panchayati Raj, they are well versed relatively compared to the state government machinery. So there is a need for a lot of sensitization and awareness in the state government, so that they can look at handling the data better, remonetizing the data. So there are challenges around those, right? And also it's a budding industry. So not every company or every player is equally skilled and equally experienced to conduct the activity. So there are variations of performance which happens. And because of that variation of the performance, generally the timelines are compromised. So that is another challenge which is happening right now. And of course, because it's a government project, there are always challenges of delayed payments, delayed contractual, let's say, formalities, because generally the government machinery works slower than the private machinery, right? So, and most of the companies performing in this segment are startups, and they run relatively faster than the general private companies. So the difference between their speed and the government speed becomes huge, right? So those are the challenges which the government is trying to solve. To a good extent, they have solved many of these challenges, integrating digital processes so that there is less file based, paper based trail of permissions and approvals. All those things are something which is basically being deployed progressively. It's not something which exists already. So a lot of these inefficiencies of management are there, I would say, skills and management. So these inefficiencies are being removed piece by piece, as and when the stakeholders are realizing the importance of removing them.
So, sir, I have one question related to land demarcation, and I know you are not the right person to answer this question, but I'm just asking for the clarification. So, you said government official visit to the people for land demarcation. So, do they visit each and every home before deciding the boundaries?
Yes, they
Okay.
visit each and every owner as far as the process is concerned. As far as I know that what process is being followed across the country, they have to visit each and every owner for their piece of land. It could be one land, two land, three land, doesn't matter, but every owner is being visited. And the boundaries, area which is coming from these boundaries are also tallied with the government records, because they cannot have deviation beyond a certain tolerance limit,
Mhm.
right? I mean, if the record says you have 2.3 acres and you get the boundary mark for 4 acres, that cannot be justified, right?
Yeah.
2.3
So,
can happen 2.35 or 2.25, but it cannot happen 4. So these are the various checks and balances which people are maintaining at this point of time.